All right, we're starting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Hey, Nick, thanks for joining me. Kay, thanks for joining. This is our very first blog, podcast, vlogcast, whatever we call these things. And so we're excited today to introduce to the masses your Skunkworks project, RocketScreens. We've been building this now for about a year or so, and we've got a lot of customers using it, and we got a lot of excitement around it. So we wanted to get some of this on video, have Nick, you show off some demos today. What's the topic we want to cover in addition, just kind of highlighting RocketScreens?
Sure, yeah. So today we're going to cover Tableau, hooking that up to RocketScreens.
So getting Tableau, the software application, the analytics product, the visualization tool up on screens.
Exactly, yep.
Awesome, awesome. Well, first of all, I want to introduce myself. I'm your captain, right? You're a commander at RocketScreens, Scott Pressler. I'm the CEO of US Analytics, and we've been building reporting systems and helping organizations visualize results, see things with their various technology stacks, reporting and improving their performance in their organizations. And so we built a product about a year ago, started on I called it a Skunkworks project, but an exciting SaaS solution for the market, allowing organizations to connect to SaaS reporting, some of the largest enterprise data systems out there, and getting that out on their digital devices, TV screens in the offices, web pages. We have various different other technologies to create playlists of these important solutions and getting them out to their employees or their customers. And so that's what we want to talk about today. And I want to also have Nick introduce yourself, please, on your role here at RocketScreens.
Yeah, hey, I'm Nick. I am the Director of Product Development here at RocketScreens. Like Scott said, been working on this for about over a year or so. My history is really, I'm a software developer, been working in the analytics space for about 7 years now, writing code, doing integrations for reporting platforms. And so really that's, like Scott said, with RocketScreens, that's our focus, getting these reporting tools up on your TVs and around the office and your intranets, everything like that.
So I have one question before I introduce somebody else that's real special to us. Why are we doing this, Nick? What is the problem that we see in the market right now?
Well, so there's a consistent problem, which is just getting your information in the hands of your employees. And it's when you're hooking up something or using something like Tableau or Oracle Analytics Cloud or Power BI, it can be difficult to get these reports to be viewed and read by your employees throughout the organization. And to get them access to, that's kind of expensive. You know, if you have several hundred employees, that's not a cheap effort to have by any means. And so what we're trying to do with RocketScreens is say, okay, well, you don't necessarily need to have licenses for every user. Instead, just put your reports, your dashboards up on these TVs around the office. And then A, you save costs, and B, you're not requesting your employees to go into a system and log in and view these. They just kind of see them just hanging around their office or in their intranets. They see them passively during the day. And that actually has a lot of benefits. It can reinforce their understanding of the data. They're seeing it throughout the day, improves comprehension of the data, and it makes them more likely to view it in the first place, right? If they just walk down the hall and they see it on their wall, they're more likely to do that and go log into a system and then do two-factor authentication, go find the link for it because they forgot where it is and all kinds of that, and everything like that. So there's the big problem that it's solving is really just improving the distribution of these reports and dashboards that are in your systems and be able to fully leverage what you are trying to do with those dashboards and reports.
Well, and at RocketScreens, really our intent is to build a product to connect to the Tableaus, but all the other products that you've invested in your company, but really no one's looking at them as often as you anticipated. So the important information isn't being shared in a simple, quick, readable way, correct?
Exactly. Yep, that's absolutely right.
So, and then last but not least, Kay, welcome to our
Hi,
podcast. Thank you for assisting us today on this podcast.
you're welcome. So, my name is Kay, and I'm the captain's assistant. So, I make sure that the captain has all what he needs to keep the ship running.
We don't want to crash the ship, so thank you,
Mm-hmm,
Kay, for keeping us on target.
mm-hmm.
But well, good. Okay, so we've done our introductions. Nick, you want to kind of maybe just go quickly to our website and let everybody know where that is, and we could talk about RocketScreens a little bit more, and then go right into your Tableau demonstration.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Not yet. Now we are.
Cool. So this is our website, rocketscreens.com. Of course, you can come on here, see more about the product, see our pricing structure, all of our different features. We have a lot of features. We'll cover some of them today, but we'll probably have some follow-up videos to go through most of the remaining of these features. But as you can see, like on the homepage, this is really what we're trying to show. We have a TV here set up, and we have different dashboards that are going through it. So you can imagine this TV in your office, in your lobby, welcoming visitors, or in your break room showing off these same reports. So we highly encourage everyone to come to our website. We have a free trial for 14 days. Sign up, no credit card needed. Sign up and start using the tool right away. It's really easy to set up. And hopefully I can show you in a few minutes here how easy that is.
Can you go to our connector page just to give everybody a sample of all the different products we connect to today?
Absolutely. So here's our apps page, and this is where we're trying to, like Scott said, show off everything that we integrate with. And we're trying to do everything under the sun. Of course, there are thousands of platforms that we could connect to, so we have a prioritization going on, but we really want to hit all of them. And it's important to note that these are all dedicated integrations as well. They're not, some kind of generic way that we're doing it. Most of these, we're all talking to APIs directly and pulling out things specifically with these platforms using the tools that they provide. Sorry, go ahead.
No, this is great. So what you're showing here is, again, we're going out to the hottest, most popular SaaS and cloud-based technologies and allowing you to leverage what you've already owned and what you've already built and getting it out to screens anywhere in your office, or in this new world that's a hybrid workforce. They obviously can also see some of these playlists, these screens on their own laptops at home or tablets, even mobile devices.
Yep, absolutely right.
I know because I'm in the business and we've been doing this for a while. We've seen competitors as screen management is a digital signage. It's a big market. We've seen a lot of companies want to use it. Obviously, we have a lot of clients now using it. But what's our kind of angle on this, Nick? I mean, there's other companies that have this, but we're seeing something a little bit different, and we're approaching it maybe a little bit different than others. How would you describe our approach to digital signage?
Sure. So one is the focus on reporting tools. There's like you said, there's a dozen of competitors in the space that can hook up to all kinds of platforms, but there's not really a lot of competitors, or really, in some cases, any that will connect to something like Oracle Analytics Cloud. And so we're taking, and maybe they can work with them, but we're taking a more direct support path to that, where we say, okay, Oracle Analytics Cloud has a way to take your dashboards and your reports, take them out of the system. We're just going to tie our system together through their API directly. And coming to the second point, that is the APIs are really what differentiate us. A lot of competitors will also have kind of generic ways they talk to a lot of these platforms. We try to do dedicated ways whenever we can. So we try to use, you see like Grafana's here. We have Google Drive, Google Slides. We have Microsoft OneDrive. We try to use the APIs in every case to make them really, to really leverage the best and the most powerful features we can from these platforms. And you won't get that from many competitors at all.
Yeah, so again, back to the US Analytics background, our story, our history, our success has been built on helping customers build out these solutions, some of these very large organizations. But now we're taking that with some of your team's capability around API management connection. We're connecting that to our digital signage CMS product, we'll just show off in a minute, and allowing you to leverage and display and distribute that anywhere you want. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So awesome. Awesome. So great. So we're going to highlight Tableau today, right? You want to tell everyone a little bit about Tableau?
Yeah, absolutely. So Tableau, if you haven't heard of it, it's a huge reporting tool. They kind of, it falls into the category of self-service reporting. So it's kind of standing opposite of the enterprise reporting tools like SAP or anything kind of in that arena. If it's more along the lines of Click and Power BI. And Tableau we've used it for years now in conjunction with our customers with consulting, building products off of it. And it's a really fantastic tool. It's extremely powerful, and they have dozens of different ways you can use it. You can see here, if I just hover over their products on their website, they have a on-premise server option, they have a cloud offering, they have a free version even, they have a desktop. I mean, it really is a fantastic tool. Recently, they were actually, or relatively recently, they were acquired by Salesforce, right?
Yep.
In 2019. So not only is it an amazing tool, now it has amazing integrations with Salesforce if you're a Salesforce customer, which I'm sure you've heard about it then. But now it also has a huge, Salesforce is a massive player in the market backing up the platform.
Yeah, it's interesting because, again, US Analytics started in 2000, right at year 2000. And when Tableau came on the scene, it was in fact, I pulled the Wikipedia and it was interesting because I've been a reseller, we've been an implementer, we're a user, they've got even a free offering out there. They've obviously got enterprise offerings. And I think what I would say is they were one of the first visualization analytic tools out there. There's been a lot of powerful reporting systems, but their whole goal is to be pretty, right? Good looking, eye-catching, and then again, advanced analytics, advanced statistics, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
But it's a really impressive report comes out.
Right. Right, and it's not only, it is, of course, they can make beautiful visualizations and you can make them easily as a Tableau user, but really a lot of the power too comes from them making it so it is self-service. Historically, as you know, you have to build a data warehouse to get something that you can report off of, and it has to go through IT to get verified. The data has to be cleaned, which is valuable and it's its own way. But Tableau very much swoops in and says, hey, any old user can connect to your systems, report off of them, and make these awesome things, in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Just get something ready, get something done, and it looks great.
Right.
So it's wonderful at doing that and holding that kind of part of the market.
Right, and they kind of were the early adopter. We don't work for Tableau, right? So we're just here as a, we love it. We're a user, we're an implementer, and in this case, we're obviously also leveraging the technology in our offering. But it's we're partner in essence in that regard. So it's a great product. I was reading it on the Wikipedia. I guess almost 90,000 companies. I bet it's a lot larger than that now. Own and use Tableau. So it's a heavily adopted product, right? Mm-hmm. So, well, awesome. Do you have any examples that you can show off kind of some of the visualization techniques on the Tableau report?
So I've got one here that's opened up. So we have a developer environment that Tableau's given us, and with it, they put in some reports already for you. And so we're just looking at some sample ones here that they produce, and we'll, in a few minutes, look at these same reports in RocketScreens. But yeah, so really, you can see now, like it's not, or rather, the big focus of Tableau is making these really beautiful reports, and maybe they can be dense, but you can create something that is that has the correct color scheme to capture attention. It can be very clear and concise with what it's conveying, and you can, just like any of these other reporting tools, you can organize it into different pages and these different charts and everything like that. So yes, this should give an idea. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, the visualization techniques, right, is what they're really kind of known. And so it gives you a lot of information in the picture. I think I also read too, and we did a little bit of this, and it's really powerful, is they do a lot of geo mapping of your data, and so again, even visualizing it against the globe and understanding where your sales are and where, trends are going. And it's just amazing what you can build with this technology.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially for the price. I mean, you can't beat it, really.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Well, very good. Well, thank you for introducing us to Tableau. Why don't we go ahead and kind of show off our product RocketScreens? Excuse me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Choked up.
So here we're in our RocketScreens CMS, and we won't have time today to go over all of the different features. If you're unfamiliar, I suggest you check out our videos where we go through each feature kind of in depth. But we really just want to show kind of the highlight of the process of getting something from Tableau and getting it into RocketScreens. So the first thing we need to do is actually set up an integration with Tableau. So you see in our RocketScreens CMS, we have these different tabs over here. We have an integrations tab where you can go and set up all of these different integrations that all these platforms we connect to. So I just moved over to it. I'll click Add Integration. And here's all of our integrations, similar to the apps page that we saw. Not every app needs an integration, so it's a little bit shorter than the apps page, but you can see here everything we connect to. And we're always adding new ones.
And so the integration page are for the apps that we would like to get really more like an API to API call relationship with the product. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. So with some apps, it's public information. Things like Yelp or like a website page, those are public. But also, of course, things like Tableau, you have authentication, and that's really what all of these are. We have a few different ways to authenticate. Sometimes we use what's called OAuth, and that's when you go to a website and you click sign in with Google, and it opens up a window and asks you to confirm that you want to sign with Google. That's a kind of a form of OAuth. And in some cases, we ask you to create some kind of key in the system. And that's actually what we'll be doing today with Tableau. We'll go into Tableau and create some keys and then give them to our system. So I'll actually show that here.
I have a question for you, Nick. Yeah. So you're showing this out. You're logged into our RocketScreens product on the internet. What I also want to mention, though, is we did build out, if I can get it on the screen, a mobile equivalent, right? So we have a CMS right from your mobile device. Are you able to do these type of integrations and building these type of connections from the mobile app?
Absolutely. Yeah. We try to make it so you can do this, where you're comfortable, but then also if you're on the run, you're on the go, you can be standing in front of a TV directly in front of your office, or in your office directly in front of a TV, and set up the integration and see it come up on your screen right away. So yeah, it's the mobile app is 100% like for like what we have in the CMS.
And who would you guess in a company that buys RocketScreens, who is the one that would be setting these up?
So it could be a number of people. It really depends on the size of the company, right? You could have, and the type of content you're putting up. If you're putting up reports like what we're putting up now, it could just be a report administrator, or a database administrator. In some examples, some of our customers are DBAs that are setting this up. It could just be it could be an IT administrator. It could be the owner in some cases. It really just depends. Okay. We have some cases too where it's marketers, or sorry, not marketers, but like HR that's managing. This TV is for HR news. That they use similar to a bulletin board. And it, like I said, it depends on even TVs around the office too. So it could be a mesh of all of the above or one of the other.
So anybody that has either some experience with those products and probably an admin like level relationship to those products, so they can log in and get the information we'll need to create the integration. Is that who would be responsible, or who could set this up?
Right. For integration specifically, it would be someone who is familiar with like some kind of admin for Tableau or SSRS for Fauna. In some cases, like Office 365, that could be any old user. They could set up, as long as they have access to the content they're looking for. Then it could be any old user.
Okay, very good. Well, good. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, please. Happy to. So I'll click Tableau. Of course, it gives us some instructions here, and this is where it comes out to be, or where we try to instruct the user. We have to use personal access tokens, kind of like what I was talking about before. So now when we come to these fields, we'll take a second to go back to Tableau and get a few of these fields.
Okay.
First, we'll say Tableau demo as the name for it, something easy. And we'll go back to Tableau online. get out of this report here. So in Tableau, we need two things. We need a domain, or at least two things. The first thing is a domain. So since I'm on Tableau Online, here's my domain. If you're using Tableau Server, of course, it would be your server name. Oops, sorry. And you also need your site name. So your site name is right here when you're using Tableau Online in your URL. If you're unfamiliar,
oh, got it. Perfect.
Yep, and if you're unfamiliar with it, then you can find it in a few other places too. You can have multiple sites. In Tableau Server, it's optional, so it won't be there in Tableau Server. And then finally, we need the personal access tokens. So what those are is, like we were saying, when we try to do these integrations, we try to do these through the API. And so to do that, we need to have some kind of tokens. In this case, the Tableau API. So to do those, I click my profile page, or my profile picture, my icon, click my account settings. I'll scroll down to a section called Personal Access Tokens. And in here, we just need to type in a name for it. I'm going to do RocketScreens. Click Create New Token. And here you go. It'll give you the token name and the token secret. We need both of these in RocketScreens. I'll click Copy to Clipboard for this token secret. And then the token name was RocketScreens, so it's easy to remember. I think I may have fat fingered it.
Not easy to spell, I guess, right?
And so the reason we do this is now that when you give us these, we're talking to your Tableau environment on your behalf. So in your audit logs and everything, you would see that it's this user talking and what we're able to do.
So you're logged in on the Tableau server as an administrator, and you have those abilities to see those secret codes and whatnot. So that's because you have those rights in the Tableau server, correct?
So actually, any user can make these, but not, and they just reflect your same permissions that your user has already. So if you give these, if some user makes these and gives them to the system, but the user doesn't have access to see those dashboards that they want to pull out, they won't be able to see them.
So,
actually, when I
access, I got you. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Keep going.
No, it's fine. It's fine. And actually, what happens now is when I'm done with this personal access token and I close this window, I won't be able to get those back. So I can see the name for it. The secret is gone forever. So just make sure you do copy that before you go over to RocketScreens. And that's another kind of security feature that they have. That way, once you get it, no one can accidentally stumble upon it anymore.
So the expire, explain that to me.
Sure. So with a lot of these tokens, they have some internal expiration. For example, Tableau tokens, these personal access tokens from Tableau will expire in a year, no matter what happens with them. Others can be long-lived. They can, live for years and years. This expires field that we have is a custom field in our system to say only let us use this token for the next 30 days, 60 days, 80 days. Just another way to kind of reinforce, because it is best practice is when you create these tokens, it is best practice to get rid of them on a routine. And so this is just one facility to help encourage that. It's optional, but we do encourage it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I'll click Create. We'll do some validation. And here's my Tableau integration all set up. So now with the integration, the next step is to put this Tableau workbook that we want to pull in and put it into a channel. A channel is where we display our content, or rather how we organize the content that we want to display. So I click the Channels tab. I'm going to click Create a Channel. I'm just going to call it Tableau for now. We can also pick a template to start from, but we won't be using any of those today. So in this channel, we have a list of apps that we can select from. Again, these are all of the apps that we can add to this channel, all the different types of content. It's like we keep going on and on about. We have close to 100 now, where these are dedicated apps that we use APIs to talk to these tools and pull these reports out. So what I'll do is I'll search for Tableau. I know it's in there somewhere, but this would be faster. One thing I do want to point out is you'll notice we do actually have two. We have Tableau Server and Tableau Embed Code. Tableau lets you take workbooks and build an embed code and copy and paste that into a web page, and that's how RocketScreens works. So you can do that if you want. However, it's not really that secure. We don't really suggest that. You can do it if you really need to, or if you're using Tableau Public, so it's public data already. But again, it is open information.
So the Tableau embedded code slide or application, we call it, allows you can go into the report you built and make it a public report. And when doing so, it'll give you a web URL. You'll paste that into that. We're not showing that off today, but that's another option for folks who want to make those reports public and then put them out on a web, which ultimately we read it as a web page and put it on your screens.
Absolutely correct. Yep, 100% correct.
That's how most people do it, I think, today. Isn't that correct? Our competitors, they really just use that as their primary connection to Tableau.
That's correct. In fact, you'll see that with a lot of their plugins. You'll see it with not singling out any competitors, but you see it with things like Power BI also. They'll say, just make this a public report, give us the URL. What are the chances someone will find the URL? Which the chances are slim, but the chances, it's still, a present concern, especially when you're dealing with certain data. That's just absolutely across the line. So we say, we offer that as well, but we suggest doing it the way we're showing today instead.
Awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I'll click Tableau Server here. I'll leave the name default. I'll say I want to display this for 60 seconds. In this case, it doesn't really matter because it's the only thing that's going to be in this channel. To build a little bit more on that, you can also, we usually suggest adding in some, what we kind of understand as commercials. We can put in Tableau. We want people to see this, put in 3 or 4 workbooks, but people don't want to be necessarily seeing those all day. So maybe put in the weather also, just break up the monotony of the reporting. But just for demonstration purposes, we'll just leave the Tableau at this point. So on this second page, we select our integration, our Tableau demo environment. We select a workbook that's set up. We'll do Superstore, and then we can set how many seconds per page we want this to be showing on the screen that we have. I'll leave that as the default 15. And then finally, I'll actually enable this option. Like Scott was saying, we try to make these reports to be available on these screens or in intranets or anything. And this is a feature that I'll come back to in a second that really just tries to bring the whole life cycle of these reports back into the fold. So I'll go ahead and click Create. And there we go. We have our Tableau workbook in our channel. I won't preview it just yet, but we can from here. We can click this little eyeball or this preview button, and it'll open up a window and show us what's happening, show us the workbook. However, it needs a few seconds to process. And while it's doing that, we'll go ahead and move on. Is that all right?
Yeah, so again, just a couple questions I have. So you built a channel with one slide in it. The slide is a specific report you got from Tableau. You brought it in. It's going to play for 1 minute. And then ultimately you can preview it here, both the slide itself, which in this case, there's only one slide in the channel, or the entire channel. And you can add more slides to the channel. One of the things I think what we believe is that these channels will ultimately be built for specific, divisions in a company, like a marketing channel. And so if your marketing team would have multiple applications that they need to see, then this whole channel could be dedicated to that information. So, your website hits, maybe your latest tweets, maybe a project, and you pull up Asana and you've got all your projects, or Microsoft Teams group. So you can create ultimately an organized collection of information for that department, right? And that's kind of what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's That's just the way that we've seen it used. You know, you can get creative with it, right? There's no restrictions on what you can put in there. It's whatever kind of abstraction that fits your needs.
Okay, well, good. So now what do we do with this? So we built a channel, now what?
Exactly, good question. So there are a few ways you can take this channel and put it out to your team. One I want to call out first, it's our Streams kind of functionality. Streams is a desktop app where you can send that your users would download and send this straight to their desktop. But today we're just look at digital signage, which is putting this up on a TV.
Okay, perfect.
So what we can do is click digital signage. We'll click players. And in here, I don't have any players, but this is where we kind of associate a screen with our CMS. I'll click create a player. And we have 3 different ways you can actually show this. We have what we call physical players. Those are things like Android Fire Sticks. We have apps in the Fire Store and Google Play. You can get these Android devices and plug them up and download our app, and you can associate a player with those. You can also have a desktop player. So desktop player is just a desktop app that we have. You download it, and it's the same process. You download it, and it asks you to associate the app with the CMS. For simplicity's sake, we'll actually show a web player today. A web player is a pretty unique use case where you get a URL or a embed code, so some HTML that you can put into either your intranet or some kind of internal portal if you want, or we have a lot of customers who are still using, what they do is they just hook their desktop up to their TV and just make their desktop full screen. This is another way to do that. You can just get a URL, put it in Chrome, make it full screen, and you're done. It's done right away.
So let me repeat what I think I heard you say. So again, we built a channel. In this case, it's just one specific Tableau report. And now what we're going to want to do is we're going to get that channel on we call them a player, right? And so you have TVs in the office, you have TVs even at the home. And if you had like a Fire Stick, you would load the Fire Stick, download our software. Some of these TVs actually have Android stores. You can download the RocketScreens player on those devices. Or we have the ability to download software on PCs or Mac and turn your whole monitor into a screen and play that channel, right? Connect those channels. And in this case, for our demo, you're going to actually create a browser digital signage and create a link that will embed that channel into the link, and then you can display that in any browser.
Right, exactly. And we have those
browsers on TVs. You know, if they had a browser, smart TVs, for instance, you could.
It does actually.
Okay.
It does work like that. So we just want to provide flexibility to our customers. You know, it's if you have a Fire Stick sitting around or you need the performance of a Fire Stick, go ahead and plug it in, use it. If you just have a desktop hooked up, use that. You just want to do a URL on your smart TV, use that as well. It's really just just trying to cater to whatever possibility or whatever you have set up now. We want to make it so you can just jump right in with as little friction as possible. Awesome.
All right.
So since obviously I can't show like a Fire Stick here, I could show the desktop app, but let's do a web player. It's pretty cool. So what we can do is player name. I'll do Tableau URL. Of course, we can name it anything. You can also add an image to this. So if you have a TV in your break room, you can take a picture of your break room and put it here, so it's easy to identify, which TV it is. Since this is a web player, it'll be giving us a URL at the end of the day. We let you restrict that by domain. So if you don't want people to put it in or embed it in their internet, only your internet, we can restrict that. You can also have a few other options here, but let's just go down to where we select that channel. So we have our Tableau channel that we created. I'll just select that, click create. Okay, we have our Tableau player here. And then the last step with this is just to get the URL. I'll click these little buttons over here, click Embed Player. And we're given 2 options. One is to, we're given an iframe to embed it in, or we just have the URL itself. I'll go ahead and just open up the URL in a new tab.
Here we go. Get your
Yeah.
popcorn ready.
So you see, it just takes a few seconds to load. This is your Tableau workbook. It's about 15 seconds per page, like for our settings. And you see it's just showing up here in this URL. If you had it on a Android Fire Stick or a desktop app or embedded it, it'd be running exactly the same.
So I see you have the QR code in the bottom corner. What's the value of adding that? Again, that's an option, turning it on or turning it off, right? Why would I put that? What's the value there?
So it's a few things. One is like the outset of this problem. The problem that we're trying to solve is to get your users to see these reports and these dashboards, without having to go log into these systems. And so if we have this up on a TV, you can imagine they say, "Oh, that's interesting. I need to look at that in more depth." Obviously, they can't do that without going into the system. It could be pretty difficult. Maybe they don't. You run into all the same problems. It's not really solving it. It's just alleviating it just a little bit. By having this QR code, we're saying, hey, here's the report. Also, if you need to get to it, just pull out your phone and take a picture of the QR code, and we'll take you right to it. And actually, even when it's embedded, you can see here when I hover over it, we can click it too if we are in an intranet. So you can see right here, here's the URL to this workbook. And so I can click it, and it takes me straight back to this workbook. That's the same place that it'll take you to in the QR code if you scan it with your phone.
So the value is that I can create a list of reports and reviews and updates for the department. And if they look at those reports and they just glance at it sometime during the day and they don't see any outliers or issues or needs, they can just watch the report and go back to work. But if they see a report and they've got a question, then they can click on that if they have it on one of their devices, like our streams player or whatnot. Or if they see it on a TV in the office, they can actually use that QR code and it'll take them right to their Tableau system where they can ask more questions. Is that accurate?
Exactly. It brings it full circle.
That's great. That's great. So we're not replacing Tableau by any means. We're leveraging and distributing out the Tableau beautiful imagery that you've spent time building that maybe no one's looking at, or at least not looking at as frequent as the managers would want. And so getting it out easier, letting people understand it quicker, and then ultimately if they need to go back in and use some, slice and dice and drill into these reports, they can easily do that at a moment's instant.
Yep, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. And then there's something that you did touch on just a little bit is that we're pulling in their Tableau reports. This is the Tableau report or workbook. We haven't touched it. We're not asking you to rebuild your visualizations. We're leveraging what you already have. We don't want to get in the way. We don't want to make you redo your work or repeat your work. We just want to take what you have and open it up to everyone else that has trouble finding it or for any other reason.
Well, and again, I think we talked earlier about Tableau. It's just they're gorgeous, right? They're just
right.
They're it's artwork almost, right? Some of these reports we've seen, and there's the public site, and you can go take a look at COVID results, and you can almost hang it on your wall if you wanted to. And that's what we're doing. We're hanging these up on your wall. The wall ends up being a TV in the office or in other places. And so we're displaying the hard work and the gorgeous information in a really nice way. So
yeah, absolutely.
Outstanding. Well, this is great, Nick. I really appreciate it. Kay, what do you think?
Awesome. I'm learning too. I like it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think again, Nick, you did yourself here. And I think, is there anything else we want to talk to the team about, our audience, if you will, or is this all we want to cover in today's blog?
I think there's a few more things, just a really quick touch on.
Please.
So one thing is obviously these workbooks that we're showing in Tableau's case, we're showing them on TVs. And so, or that's most of the case, most of the time, again, we can embed them in intranets and URLs. But that largely means these reports are non-interactable. So if you have any drill down functionality or anything like that, it's not really available. You can see I can click here, it doesn't do anything. So that, and again, if you put up the QR code, it doesn't really make a big difference. They can just go in and still use it like they would normally. But so there is no interaction here. It's just taking it out and putting it on your screen. But another kind of caveat of that is that this data, it's not immediately live. You can see like right now, it's showing at 11:58 a.m. That's not this morning. It's 3 o'clock where I am, but you know the time zones. But anyways, it's 5 minutes old, so it's not live data either. We're taking periodic snapshots of it and then displaying it. In most cases, for most customers, this is totally fine. Most people run their ETL jobs overnight or every few hours. So more often than not, this is the same data anyways. But for those customers who need like up-to-date, minute-by-minute data, you know, live data, then this is, you know, it's a few minutes behind. But really, those are the biggest caveats. The rest of it, as you can see, pulls in everything exactly what you needed.
Yeah, you know, we've been building reports for, 20 plus years, and very few companies have real-time data, as they would say. 5 minutes lag isn't a big deal at all. There are some instances where you would want almost like monitoring environments. That's different. That's not what we're trying to accomplish here. It's really bringing possibly your KPIs and your data points that you're measuring and trying to let everybody understand how well we're doing as an organization, or marketing and sales, and obviously, of course, operations. That's the information that a few minutes lag won't really affect anything.
Right, and we have, for those like you mentioned, interesting use case, monitoring for like systems. We have other plugins that are up to date or are like live data. We have a plugin that is a live website. It'll open up a live website on the player and show that. That's totally fine. You can open up if you have a Grafana portal or you have Datadog or something like that, so we can get to it with the URL. You can monitor it, live data, just fine. But in most cases with our plugins, we are trying to do, to take snapshots and deliver those snapshots periodically.
So if I wanted to take and have a channel with this is a workbook, right? A Tableau workbook. Is that what you're showing here, which has 4 or 5 reports in it? And let's say I would want to show off another Tableau workbook right after this. Do I have to create another integration, or can I go in and just create another slide and grab the other workbook and then display it right afterwards?
Very good question. So you can reuse the same integration as long as the user or the personal access tokens that we set up, if you remember, as long as those have the same or the appropriate permissions to access both workbooks, then you don't need to make a new one. You can reuse the same integration, just select different workbook when you create the app, and just put it right under it, or put it above it. Change how long it runs, change the number of seconds per page in the workbook. You can do all of that without having to go through that whole process of setting up personal access tokens and the integration.
Awesome. Anything else you want to show us today, Nick?
I don't think so.
Good. Well, this is our very first podcast, so I think we did all right. Kay, you really helped out. Appreciate your smile there. And Nick, this is great. We've got a lot of customers asking for this, connection. I think we'll do some of these maybe once a week and show off some other connections and some of our client use cases that we're seeing in the market. But for now, I think you've done well, and I appreciate your time. Yeah,
absolutely. Thank you. It's exciting, and I'm looking forward to keeping this going.
So again, one of the things is folks can go to our website, RocketScreens.com. They can sign up for a 2-week free trial, and they obviously can even use the help function. Reach out to a member of your team if they need help on setting some of this up in the trial. We obviously would be willing to assist. We have a professional services group, so people need to build out these reports and connect it and get a little more advanced. We do that also. So give it a shot, guys. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Have a good day.